When I make these videos, sometimes at night, right before bed, I have my best thoughts. And I was thinking about this earlier today, and I wrote this down. And I came up with a title for you, and I think this is going to be a good video. Because it's nights like this, when I just sit down and I talk my way through these topics slowly, that it can impact the most amount of guys on the deepest level. Women want to get to a point where they obsess and think about you all day long. I will say that one more time. Women want to get to a point in the relationship where they obsess and think about you all day long. What does that mean? That means we have to take this all the way back to the beginning. All the way back to the beginning about why she likes you, why she falls in love with you, the things you do, the things you say, and how you make her feel. Women want to get to a point in the relationship where they obsess and think about you all day long. How do you do this? How do you do this? Why does this need to happen? Well, first off, this needs to happen for two reasons specifically. Number one, this is the guy who she ends up basically like lusting after, and this is also the guy she falls in love with. If you don't do the things that it takes to make her feel a way where her mind is constantly thinking about you, you will never get her to fall in love with you. So this is a cold hard truth that you have to hear, that you have to internalize, is this. The reason why most of your relationships probably failed, or a large reason why your relationship probably failed in the past, is because you were never able to get her to a point where she sat and thought about you all day long. See, like, I don't think that you really understand like how deep this goes. When it comes to a relationship or the man that a woman is talking to, that's the most important thing right there in her life at that time. That's the most important thing, who she's talking to and how the relationship is going. That's the most important thing. If she is in love with a guy, it doesn't matter what's going on. It doesn't matter even what her girlfriends are telling her. It doesn't matter what she's up to that day or even how she's feeling. She will go and see him because she's thinking about him nonstop. A lot of times, the reason why your past relationships probably failed is because you were never able to get her to the point to where she just sat around all day and could not stop thinking about you. And the biggest reason is because not only did you provide too much consistency, but you provided too much certainty that no matter what, you were not going anywhere. I'm going to say that one more time. You provided too much certainty that no matter what, you're not going anywhere. So she wants to be able to sit around and think about you all day long. Now, why is this important to her? Okay. The reason why this is important to her is because she has this image, okay, of what the man that she feels she should have in that relationship is like. This image that she has in her mind of what this man is like, this could have been from, what maybe, let's say her girlfriends tell her that love should be like in her life, or her relationship should be like. This could be some of the things that she has read in books or in movies, but regardless, she has this image, okay, and she feels like eventually, if she can obtain that relationship, she'll be happy. And she feels to some degree probably that she's even too entitled to this specific type of guy who makes her feel a certain type of way. So I'm going to say this one more time. Women want to get to a point where they obsess and think about you all day long. And if you can't get her to this point, eventually she will leave you. And this is what you have to understand. She's not going to have a formal breakup with you. She probably won't even give you the time of day to call you up on the phone and tell you why, because she doesn't care. You have to understand this about women, okay? When their emotions no longer work in your favor, you become basically non-existent to them. You become completely irrelevant. They completely shut you out, and they don't care. They don't care that you guys had history together, where you spent some time together now for a couple months. She doesn't care that you maybe spent money taking her out on dates. She doesn't care about the time investment that you put into the relationship. She doesn't care. When her emotions no longer work in your favor, you get shut out. The reason why this is so important is because if you don't get her to this point where she sits around and thinks about you all day, she's disappointed in you because in her mind she feels in some way, shape, or form like you are no longer, or you are not the type of guy that can complete her fantasy or her narrative of what her relationship should be like. Because she has this idea, she has this image, she has this narrative, and she feels like if she could just obtain that, things would be good. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to explain to you the things that you have to do as a man in order to get her to that point. Because for a lot of you who hold on to these beliefs, or you want to maintain these beliefs that keep you stuck, okay, just simple beliefs like, I want somebody that I can talk to all day. I want to find, a good wife, so that way every single day after work I have someone to talk to. All this stuff. It's like, for what? You really need to ask yourself this. For what? What do you actually want that for? So you can sit around and just talk? See, this is the thing, is you need to be so content with who you are. You need to be so okay with almost being alone that you get to a point where you don't care who enters or exits your life because you're fine. This video is going to be jam-packed with knowledge. I'm going to do my best to give you step-by-step processes that you can actually use, and on top of that, I'm going to show you what you have to do to start to shift your mindset so it's easier to live in a way to where your relationships are easy to maintain because the woman that you're with genuinely wants to stay with you. So listen close, okay? Step number one to all of this is you have to have the highest level of self-belief. She needs to see, right, like the woman that you're talking to, the woman that you're dating, she needs to see that you have the highest level of self-belief with whatever it is that you're doing. Meaning, I don't care if you are going to school for a specific career. I don't care if you are, already, doing something you love. Whatever it is, you need to be completely embodied in who you are. Like the man and his identity and who he is, when that gets tied together into career and lifestyle and habits and decisions, you become like this, basically like this dude that just understands who he is. Okay, and that radiates with how you communicate. That radiates with who you are. The highest level of self-belief. You need to wake up every single day. This is the first thing you need to understand. You need to be able to wake up every single day and you tell yourself, no matter what, you can literally accomplish anything if you set your mind to it. You tell yourself that nothing will ever hold you back because you can accomplish anything if you set your mind to it. That's first. Okay. Now, once you have that on point, see, this is why guys never actually are able to create the right emotions in her with how she feels towards you in the relationship, because the level of consistency that you bring always shows up because of your lack of purpose and direction in life, because you're relying on somebody else to communicate with, so that way you have somebody to talk to because you're that bored by yourself. Let's backtrack just a second here. Step one is you have the highest level of self-belief. Call that purpose, call that ambition, whatever the case may be. Without that as the fundamental backbone of masculinity, meaning you have purpose, you understand why you're here on this earth, you understand what you're doing, you feel like you're here for a reason. Okay, if that's not present, you're not going to be able to do any of the other things that I'm about to tell you. That's how important that is. Self-belief shines through you because you know who you are and you know where you're going in life. This is very important. Okay, now let's get clear on this. Call that purpose if you want to, just to make this easy. A guy who has that, okay, naturally, since he's so absorbed in what he is, since he's so absorbed in who he is, since he's so absorbed in the direction of his life, like he's completely embodying and diving into his work, who he is, what he's doing, what he's about, because of that. This man is hard to get to. This man is hard to access. And this man genuinely probably doesn't care to communicate with a lot of people outside of the things that he wants to do day to day with his lifestyle habits that's embodying that purpose. So this is like step number 1. Okay. You have so much self-belief because you like who you are and you like where you're going in life that you are able to spend so much time doing that and embodying those traits, and you are going somewhere that you are now hard to access. It's like you enjoy your life so much as is. It's like you no longer rely on the cell phone to get a text message so you're happy or not that day. You no longer need a phone call, right, on a Saturday or a Friday night, or you don't need to go out on a date. Like, you don't care. Like, you genuinely don't care if you see her. And the only way you get to that part is if you like what you're doing hour for hour, every day, with unstoppable self-belief because you like where you're going. Okay, so the next level to this, you need to understand this. She doesn't know when she is going to get to hear from you again. Because let's just like really break this down. You have high self-belief. You're doing the things day to day that occupy your time. You're building your future, which keeps you occupied in your own lifestyle habits. You're no longer reliant on the cell phone to feel good, so you have somebody to talk to, and you no longer care if you go out on that date or not. Do you know what that's going to turn you into? That's going to turn you into a guy who appears pretty arrogant. Let that sink in. From the outside looking in, most people who look at you, they're going to say, wow, you are so, self-absorbed. You're so arrogant. You're only about yourself. This is what you're going to hear. And all that does is raise her interest. Why isn't he focused on other people? I have more interest. Why doesn't he want to text me back? I have more interest. Why doesn't he care to call me? I have more interest. Why doesn't he care to set another date? I have more interest. Why doesn't he care to keep seeing me? I have more interest. All of this is correlated. You see, it's correlated based on what you're not doing, not what you are doing. Because what you are doing is you're probably trying to put in more effort. You're probably trying to call her. You're probably trying to make plans or create a fun experience, which doesn't do anything to maintain attraction. All this does is give her way too much certainty where you stand and how you feel towards her. And all this does is show your interest level. So now you're creating all these emotions in her. And she goes, why don't I hear from him? Why doesn't he call me back? What is he doing? Sometimes you message back in an hour, and then other times she doesn't hear from you for 2 days. And then she goes, was he working on something? Was he building something new? Was he out with friends? What's he doing? The problem with most guys is this goes in one ear and out the other. And you don't understand that these things, these emotions that she feels for you are not instantaneous based on one date or one text message or one phone call or one thing that you said. This is built day by day consecutively, week by week consecutively. She can't figure you out. She can't figure you out, so she's constantly wondering what you're doing. And she's constantly wondering if you are talking to somebody else who's probably more attractive than she is. So when this happens, see, this is the thing you have to understand. This level of game only comes when you're embodying the highest level of self-belief, because you're that occupied with what you're doing. Like, you're becoming great at what you find important in life. And that's going to look very different for all of you. For some of you, that might be something to do with business. For some of you, it might be some kind of hobby. For some of you, it might be some kind of career or profession. But the main premise of this entire topic is the thing that is occupying your time the most is not her. And that's what gets her to keep asking herself why. So now what's happened is now you're going to essentially, without even doing anything, okay, because this is what's really important here, is this starts to happen without you even doing anything. You're going to start to naturally create a lot of different emotions inside of her. She's going to start to maybe feel some level of, let's say, insecurity, where she wonders, are you talking to someone else? She wonders what she has to say or what she has to do so she can get more of your time. She wonders how she should act when she's around you, so that way you want to see her more. But the main premise of this is she can't figure you out. And now she goes and she tells her girlfriends, well, he's so mysterious, I don't hear from him. Or he doesn't talk a whole lot to me throughout the week, I don't know what he's up to. And then she calls her girlfriends and she says, what do you think I should do? How should I handle this? And this is where she gets to the point where she sits around and thinks about you all day because she doesn't know how you feel. So now what we have to do in order to tie all of these points together, and in order to tie all of these topics together that I'm telling you, is we have to address all of the false beliefs that you believed your whole life, that you were probably sold or you were probably told, that are completely wrong. Because a man's fundamental idea of what he considers to be masculine, or what he considers to be textbook good game with a woman, is he believes all of the basically the things that he was taught probably growing up. That guy is going to hear certain things like, be a good leader, always tell her how you feel, make sure you're open and transparent and willing to communicate a lot, so that way she knows where you stand. Make sure you're planning things and you're planning a lot of dates and experiences so she doesn't get bored. You're going to hear these things, you're going to see guys do these things, and these are the exact guys that year after year they're either dumped, heartbroken, or cheated on. So once we've addressed all of those beliefs that are holding you back, now we have to implement new beliefs that allow you to excel and go forward. So this is what I can tell you. Women are drawn to men that conceal their interest level or their intent and make it very hard for her to get a read on how you actually feel in the relationship. Women are drawn to uncertainty. Women are not drawn to certainty. Your whole life, you were probably told that you need to demonstrate certainty, and that equals masculinity, and that equals masculinity because you're showing decisiveness and you're showing how you feel. And that is why essentially almost all men have no dating success. Women are drawn to men that are unclear with their intent of how he feels in the relationship, and women are drawn to men who demonstrate a level of uncertainty. So what happens is, after these dates, when she's done seeing you, is she sits there and goes, I wonder if I'll ever get to see him again. And this is how she sits around and thinks about you all day. But the reason why this is so important to understand is because I'm going to bring it back to point number one. Until you get to a point where you have the highest level self-belief, because you know who you are and you're embodying who you are, and it is woven deep with your purpose and why you feel as if you are doing the things you do every single day, until you figure that one thing out that drives you to keep going every single day, this is not going to get any easier, because you're going to rely on all of the things that is outside of yourself, which is social life, meeting more friends, going to different events. And the problem with that is, at some point the party's over, and at some point you're sitting there holding your cell phone, relying on somebody else to talk to, because you're truly not content with the world that you created for yourself. If you like this video, hit the like button, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.